The lavender was past its best, one of many things in the garden in the past month to lose the shine of its bloom. The garden was teaching me that I don't deal well with this. I cling and I hold on past the point that I should have let go. Way past the letting go point, in fact, in life as well as my garden. And the garden was showing me this. Dead plants remained, choking out light, stealing space for new beginnings, and I'd retreated sad about the encroaching chaos and the need to prune away what had died. And then Lughnasadh arrived, the first harvest, and I thought of harvesting and all that it means, making space, bringing in light, natural circles and forward movement. Moving forwards, always forwards. Why should this be so hard? So I embraced harvest time this Lughnasadh. I stepped into a clearing space, a space full of forward momentum. And so with scissors in hand, I harvested some of my lavender. The garden was teaching me to let go. The wheel turns, whispered my garden. Come with me and embrace the new. And as I cut, it got easier and easier. I could feel the plant breathing a sigh of relief, and I got excited about all the new possibilities with the lavender that I was going to dry. And I realised that within the clearing space, all these new paths were opening up for me and the garden. It didn't feel static anymore. Everything could breathe. I could breathe. The garden had taught me the treasure in letting go, accepting change, and stepping out in a forward direction. And then I decided to tidy up the roses too, covered for far too long now in the brown remains of their first blooming. I cut the first of the second blooms to save for later, and I helped the plant to breathe again, to not have to fight for air, to bloom once more. And it's okay to love so fully that you feel every goodbye of every petal. But my mini harvest this Lughnasadh taught me that goodbyes aren't forever. The wheel is turning after all. So I decided to capture the beauty of this day by pressing the roses underneath a dahlia that I'd pressed last week. I pressed a rose in full flower and also wilting stems, all the stages captured and celebrated. And I collected petals for magic, and I loved every moment. The garden was teaching me to let go, to embrace change and to step forward, and it was showing me just what happens when you get stuck, just like these dead buds that I was snipping off the climbing rose. I had loved these roses so much I'd wanted to stay put, so I got the rose food out and I fed them and I pruned them, and then I went to my bowl of treasures, of stones and shells that had called to me on my favourite beaches, collected to give offerings to my garden. The lavender, the herbs now all pruned back, and to the roses. now breathing fresh air. And I decided to give thanks to the rest of my garden with watering cans full of food, and then more offerings. A yellow rock that seemed to hold the sun in the shape of a heart. I knew where this needed to be on this Lughnasadh day. An offering for the sunflowers. The sunflowers that are such a big part of this time of year. They're looking so beautiful at the moment. Both sides of the path are dripping with yellow, and it makes my heart soar. So the offerings were given and a little prayer of thanks. I love my garden. For me, this is what magic is all about. And I'd cut back that wild geranium, and look what was coming in its place. All the dahlias now coming. And then I noticed the grasses dry and ready to be cut back. My own mini wheat field in my garden. But first, to the sea of yellow and the sunflowers for more offerings and thanks. So my garden taught me this Lughnasadh, that I loved things so hard and fully, with true passion running through me even to the smallest weed, that it was this love that was keeping me stuck, keeping the garden stuck. It was this love that made me always want to stay put in that moment, here right now, never changing. My garden, this Lughnasadh whispered, come with me, walk forward. And then of course, there are always the dogs chasing down Sanze, our garden pigeon. He always stands his ground, and it drives the dogs insane. Some things actually never change. And then I went out to collect the dried grasses that reminded me of the wheat fields. And I thought of ancestors past and the work they would have been doing at Lughnasadh. And it just made me feel really connected and joyous in the letting go. The garden had taught me a really important lesson and how to steer clear of the chaos that comes when we hold on too tight. The wheel is turning, it whispered. Let go. Come with me. Move forwards. Because goodbyes aren't ever really goodbyes on a turning wheel. This Lughnasadh, I found some peace in my soul within the magic garden. I cleared space. I had my own mini harvest. I gave thanks back to the garden and offerings. And I listened to the voice of the garden speaking wisdom. The wheel turns, whispered my garden. Come with me and embrace the new.